Hi everybody, my name is Boss Mode Billy. I like to make gaming content as well as other videos. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you love Roblox as much as I do. I'm going to do more gameplay videos and walkthrough tutorials in the future, so make sure you ring that bell for notifications. Welcome back to Too Many Weapons. Are you a part of the Boss Mode Nation? Let me know in the comments below if you are Boss Mode. Let's get into it, gamers. When it comes to studying the blessed teachings of Jesus, it's essential to create a dedicated space where you can focus on him without any distractions. I'm not talking about just finding a quiet corner in your house or turning off your phone, although those things are helpful too. No, what I mean is setting aside a regular time each day that's just for you and Jesus. This could be as simple as waking up 30 minutes earlier every morning to sit in silence with him, or dedicating an hour on Sunday afternoons to reading through his words and praying. The key here is consistency. We live in a world where it's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily life, but if we want to truly understand and apply Jesus' teachings, we need to make time for him every day. It's not about adding another thing to your to-do list or feeling like you're failing if you miss a day or two. It's about creating space in your heart and mind for God to speak to you, guide you, and transform you. So, take some time this week to evaluate your schedule and see where you can carve out a quiet moment each day. Maybe it's during your morning coffee, while taking a walk outside, or before bed as you wind down for the night. Whatever it is, make sure it's something that works for you and your lifestyle. Because when we establish this regular quiet time with Jesus, we'll be amazed at how our understanding of his teachings deepens and our faith grows stronger. Now that we have our quiet time established, it's time to dive into reading the accounts of Jesus' life in the four Gospels. I want to encourage you to read these books as a chronological account of Jesus' ministry, rather than just piecing together random verses and passages. By doing so, you'll get a more complete picture of who Jesus was, what he taught, and how he interacted with people. Start by reading Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in order, and pay attention to the key events that shape Jesus' story. Notice how he begins his ministry in Galilee, preaching the good news of the kingdom and performing miracles that demonstrate his authority and power. See how he calls disciples, teaches them about the kingdom, and shows compassion to those who are lost and broken. As you read through these accounts, highlight or underline key passages that stand out to you, such as the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 5-7, or the parables of the prodigal son and the Good Samaritan in Luke. These stories reveal so much about Jesus' character, his love for sinners, his call to follow him, and his promise of forgiveness and restoration. Also, pay attention to the way the different Gospels portray Jesus' interactions with people. For example, Matthew highlights Jesus' authority and power, while Mark emphasizes his compassion and servant heart. Luke shows us Jesus as a healer and restorer, while John reveals his divine nature and intimate relationship with God. By reading these accounts in chronological order, you gain a deeper understanding of the historical context in which Jesus lived, taught, and died. You'll also see how the different Gospels complement each other, revealing a more complete picture of who Jesus is and what he accomplished on our behalf. As we continue to study the teachings of Jesus, it's essential that we analyze specific passages or sermons in their original context. This means taking into account the cultural, historical, and social backdrop in which they were given. You see, many of us are so familiar with the Bible that we tend to read it through our own modern lenses without considering how Jesus' words would have resonated with his original audience. For example, let's take a look at the Sermon on the Mount, found in Matthew 5-7. On its surface, this passage might seem like just another collection of teachings from Jesus. But when we dig deeper, we find that Jesus is speaking to a crowd of Jewish people who are living under Roman occupation. They're a group who have been marginalized and oppressed for centuries, and yet they're called to be the salt and light of their world. As we read through this passage, consider what it would have meant for these listeners to hear Jesus say things like, "Blessed are the poor in spirit," or "Love your enemies." These statements wouldn't have been revolutionary in today's society, but for a group who had been forced to live under the heel of oppressive powers, they were radical. They were a call to resist the status quo and to live as people who are set free by God. To get a better understanding of Jesus' intentions and audience, it's helpful to consult scholarly resources and commentaries. These can provide valuable insights into the historical context in which the passage was given, as well as help us understand the cultural and social nuances that might have been lost on modern readers. Some of my favorite resources include the works of N.T. Wright, who is a New Testament scholar with a deep understanding of the Jewish context in which Jesus lived. I also love the commentaries by John MacArthur and R.C. Sproul, who offer practical applications for living out Jesus' teachings in our own lives. By analyzing specific passages or sermons in context, we'll gain a deeper appreciation for the complexity and richness of Jesus' words. We'll begin to see how they're not just abstract ideas, but real-life instructions for how to live as followers of Christ in this world. As we've been studying the blessed teachings of Jesus, it's essential that we take our learning to the next level by reflecting on personal applications. This is where the rubber meets the road, folks. We can read about Jesus' teachings all day long, but if we don't incorporate them into our daily lives, they'll just remain abstract ideas. So, I want to encourage you to ask yourself regularly, what does this passage say to me today? How can I apply it in my own life? Take the time to journal for your thoughts and feelings as you read through the Gospels. Ask God to reveal any areas of your heart or behavior that need transformation. You might also consider joining a discussion group or accountability partner to process your spiritual growth with others. Sharing our struggles and insights with people who are on the same journey can be incredibly powerful. It's like having a team of people cheering you on as you strive to become more like Christ. As we reflect on personal applications, it's not about checking off a box or feeling guilty for not doing enough. It's about taking deliberate steps towards becoming a disciple of Jesus. What does that look like in your life? Is there an area where you're struggling with sin or temptation? How can you apply Jesus' teachings to overcome that? For example, maybe you've been reading through Matthew 5-7 and have been struck by the importance of forgiveness. You realize that you've been holding on to bitterness towards someone who wronged you in the past. Take time to pray about it, journaling out your thoughts and feelings. Ask God to help you forgive and release that person. Or perhaps you've been reading through John 13-17 and have been challenged by Jesus' teaching on humility and service. You realize that you've been trying to make a name for yourself in your work or community, rather than serving others selflessly. Take time to pray about it, seeking God's guidance on how to prioritize others over your own interests. Remember, spiritual growth is a journey, not a destination. It's okay to take things one step at a time, and it's okay to make mistakes along the way. But by reflecting on personal applications of Jesus' teachings and incorporating them into our daily lives, we'll be transformed into people who are more like Him, people who bring light and hope to a world that desperately needs it. Thanks for watching! If you want to see more of this content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell. Peace out, gamers!